Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Level 2 Journey and Level 2 Practicum information session for Color Vowel. I'm Karen Taylor, and I'm so glad to have you here. Some folks are attending by watching the recorded session. In other words, they're not attending, but we're here for them as well, and I know you'll ask great questions. If we would, I'd just like to go quickly around the room, know who you teach, where you teach, and whether you're teaching right now, just so I know kind of what state of mind you're in. Like if you're going crazy with forms, or you just got crazy yesterday and now you're done with forms, whatever it is, tell me. And we'll start with Paula. Hi, Paula.
Hi, good evening. My name is Paula Amadeo. I am an ESOL teacher in Prince George's County Public Schools in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. I teach at a high school just for ESOL students, and I teach mainly 9th and 10th graders, and I still have 2 more days of school. So trying to get through it, trying to
forward.
push on through.
All right, good. So thank you so much for being here. I know it's a long haul, so that's great. Hi, Lisa.
Hi. So my name's Lisa Lamar. I'm here in New Zealand. I have a language school here, which is specifically for Japanese female Japanese teenagers. We've been in hibernation for 3 years. This is my 3rd year. But now we're gearing up to take our new intake next year in April. So I'm really excited about that. At the moment, I'm teaching Japanese, mostly teenagers, online. So it's been a big learning curve for me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. And Lisa is one of our now licensed partners, which we can talk about at the end if we like. But it's a pretty exciting new option for our teachers, who, especially teachers who are wanting to advertise their schools with Color Vowel, that kind of thing. So thank you so much, Lisa. Hi, Skip.
Hey, yeah, I teach in the public school system, Montgomery County, right outside of Washington, D.C., another county outside D.C. And I taught 6th, 7th, 8th graders last year. And it was just kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's that.
I don't want to go into it. It'll take too long, right? It's
right.
Like, oh, and this happened and that,
But well, my addendum is that Skip was the first teacher to, not the first. When I made my first Color Vowel chart out of cardboard and craft paper, and then I moved on to my second Color Vowel chart, I gave it to Skip, that first one.
Yeah.
So he then stored it in a closet for many years, but he used it with a bunch of Arabic speakers, if I recall.
Yeah.
First group.
Yeah.
And that's our topic this Friday, by the way, for Fridays at 5. And Aviva, I'm looking at you. So Aviva, go ahead and introduce yourself and then we can talk.
Help. Hi, my name is Aviva, and I feel that I'm in really good company because I know just about everybody here. I've either been on a course with all of you, or else I work with one of you. So it's really exciting. I am the academic director of the Intensive English Institute at Florida Atlantic University, and I'm currently teaching level 2 high beginners speaking and listening, and I have another 3 weeks of it. So help me God. It's like, and that's that. And I feel like I'm with friends. So
that's right. Thank you. Well, that was my purpose, is to soften things up with friendship. Okay. Anna, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I think you're the one, at least I've seen your face. I know I've seen you before, but could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I think you're kind of the newcomer.
Yeah. So my name is Anna. I'm from Brazil, and I've been watching the pure English practice. Yes, sometimes, and I teach some business people here in Brazil, and since the first time I've checked the method of the color vowel. I was enchanted, and also my students. So I think the next step is learning how to deal with the method and teach it. So that's it.
Wonderful. Does anybody have a single word response for Anna? Is that a yes?
Yeah. Welcome.
Yes, do it. Okay. And thumbs up from Aviva.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Glad to have you here. And I'll speak to, you'll see where your journey begins as well. So, and I'll give you the bigger context for everyone here in a moment. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I work with Paula. I'm ninth and 10th grade ESOL teacher at an all ESOL high school in Prince George's County, Maryland. And same thing, just hanging on until Thursday, and we're done. Today was the last long day, full day of packed stuff, and 2 half days left.
Wonderful. Thanks, Melissa. Hi, Lorianne.
Hello, everyone. So I don't know where to start because I was late and I was trying to switch forward to the computer.
Keep it short. That's all. Just who are you teaching, and are you still teaching right now?
I'm teaching intermediate English. I would say like that's like level 3 for us. I teach with Aviva, so it's nice to see her here. And sorry, what was the other one?
Are you, so you're still in the middle, you're teaching right now?
Oh yes, we're still missing 3 more weeks.
Okay.
3 more weeks to go.
And since her boss is in the room, she's like, and we love every week.
We love everybody.
Every moment. Thank you. Hi, Dorley.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. You all. It's good to see you all. I work more on my own lately, privately, coaching international professionals. And this past week, I did something exciting, which was a 7-day pronunciation challenge with a group of Brazilian professionals who are applying to graduate programs here in the US, and worked intensely with the color vowel chart. And they said, what a tool. So it was good.
That's what I like. Here.
Yes.
I look forward to hearing more about that. Fun.
Yes.
And I'm sure all of us are intrigued by what a 7-day pronunciation challenge consists of.
I know.
That sounds, it reminds me of like the shake challenge or the cleanse challenge or some other kind of exercise challenge.
Something like that.
That's really super fun. Wonderful. Well, so, and just to kind of set the case here, the reason for the level 2 practicum, let's kind of talk about the journey first, and then we'll dive into that. So here is the journey. And if you've looked at the journey before, you may see it look at just slightly different, and it's going to be changing yet again. That we've got the basics, which all of you have taken except Anna so far. Unless Anna, have you purchased the basics asynchronous course or any courses at all yet? Is this all new?
No, that's all new. I've been following some events from you.
Okay.
So that's what I know.
Wonderful. So you've been over here in the community, and that's where we have Fridays at 5, like that wonderful event that Dorley spoke at about working with Brazilian speakers of English, etc. And I think that's where I saw you. So, and so those are our free community events. We then have level 1, and all of you who are level 2, most of you, I want you to take that word basics. And for many of you from sort of longer ago, this connotes the 12-hour course where you met with me live. Some of you who were sort of the longest here, so especially Skip and others. And then it transitioned into a 6 hours of video and 6 hours live together. And then we redid it. So now basics is our asynchronous course that can be purchased by itself. And then these 2 courses are the live piece. I'm just sort of giving you a notion that basics is now this asynchronous on-demand course. So FYI, in case you tell colleagues about it. And you'll see more about this as our website launches in the next month. Okay, so Anna, that's where you would start, is with this section here, the basics and the level 1 certification. You'll see another view of that in a minute. Okay, a lot of you have done this. All the rest of you have done this, and now you're in level 2, and you know about the 3 core workshops, and some of you have taken some electives, and now you're thinking about this coaching and teaching practicum. And the reason you might want to do that is because you're goal oriented and you like to get, the finishing thing on this, meaning it just kind of feels right to get the thing called the certificate. But I'll speak more philosophically to that in a moment. The badge that comes with it, access to the digital library is continued. And we start highlighting your profile on our website. And again, that's also, everything is happening right now with a reboot. Okay. So just to kind of look at those requirements once again, you will be ready for the practica. I don't call it practica very often, but the 2 practicums, when you have completed at least the core workshops, which are rhythm and chants, color vowel yoga, spelling exploration, and we're grandfathering, or we're transitioning in sound awareness as a requirement. If it's going to stand in the way of you doing the practicum, you can talk with us if you really need to do the practicum, but otherwise we recommend taking sound awareness. Notice that before it was an elective, and we're now transitioning it up because we're recognizing it just as so valuable. And several of you are nodding who have taken it before. And so that it really is just very eye and ear opening, right? So be watching for that in the schedule, and you'll start seeing some changes in the way we portray that. Any questions about this so far? Here's another view. Again, it's being updated as we speak. So I could actually take a shape like a circle. I will grab a circle right now. Boom. And I'll take, there's going to be this one more piece in here that is sound awareness. Okay, and I'll just it's kind of a goofy graphic, but it works like that. Okay, and so we're just adding sound awareness to the mix here in the core. Yeah, don't do this in front of people. It's goofy. Does that make sense? We'll just keep it like that for a minute. Okay. If you have this document, it is on our website. Just watch for the updated version coming out, because it'll add sound awareness into that. And again, if you're inconvenienced by it, we're flexible. We can work with you. Okay, great. Coaching practicum activities. We'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to stop as to, why the practicum, this question of these 2 items here. Okay, so in level 1, the way that we create the requirements of level 1 is to attend, to participate, and to complete these tasks that are practicum tasks. And you all did them, and you notice that they're video-based tasks. You don't have students in front of you when you do it. You simply have to do it, right? And a large part of the level 1 philosophy is just getting teachers to do this new thing, to use their hand and to refer to the chart and get comfortable with the orientation, and to try this thing, one technique we call flooding, and to really just do these things is the purpose of level 1. And we do that because we've seen, Shirley and I saw over the years when we did face-to-face trainings, that doing it together wasn't enough, that teachers would leave the room or leave the workshop and then weeks later kind of say, I kind of forgot it all, or I just feel funny doing it in front of the students. And so we realized we had to do something to just situate it, to really do it, and to do it in front of a camera and feel goofy and do 20 recordings if you have to. Who's done more than 3 or 4 recordings for a task? Okay, so when, and then you thought, am I the only person who's recorded this 23 times? And we try to get you to record it fewer times than that. But all of that rehearsal is part of getting comfortable with yourself. So think of level 1 as becoming comfortable with yourself. And we, you get the certificate. Then you're in the classroom and you're still kind of alone out there. Am I doing this right? don't know if this is right. And now I have questions and my students have questions. And I know I'm supposed to, be really familiar with the chart, but I have all these questions and I think I'll take a level 2 workshop. So those level 2 workshops also were born organically out of the level 1 face-to-face, what used to be a full day workshop and then became a 6-week workshop online, and then has shifted into a 4-week workshop that's longer each meeting. And so those questions that came out became key topics. Color Vowel Yoga was one of them. And that's going to be rebranded, by the way, because yoga just sounds, it's so strange for outsiders to hear about yoga. We can all kind of imagine what they think. But it really is just about kinesthetic anchoring, right? So we answer that question, we get that, explored. Rhythm and chants, which is really how to internalize the way something sounds and how to help students do that as practice. And then spelling exploration, which answers the question, what is the relationship between print and sound that we need to be able to represent? Instead of trying to teach spelling, we represent that relationship in our teaching. Sound awareness is all of that phonological awareness that we need to continue building. Okay, so then we know more and we do more of those tasks, also not in front of students, right? You see where I'm heading on this. So then we get to the question of when is it that you get to know for sure that we know that how you integrate the color vowel into your everyday teaching beyond the introductory lesson, beyond, taking out the launch pad, let's say. And that's where the coaching practicum came into being. So that's the background to that. So in the coaching practicum, we're going to delve into 2 things today. Coaching practicum is going to be this, it's quite intense. And Carrie, I always look at you because you're like my canary in the coal mine. She's going to be the first to say, it's intense. Is that right? You need to nod. Okay. So Carrie's in the room saying it's intense. It is intense. There are a lot of moving parts. It's pretty glorious. There's a lot you get to do that you've never gotten to do in front of other people before. And we also get to, at the very same time, teach real students, and we do it all together and all in front of each other. And that's pretty neat. Then the teaching practicum comes at the end of your journey. So there's this kind of halfway point when you've done the core workshops, you might have done an elective or 2, and you're ready to do your coaching practicum. At the end of your journey, you'll do the teaching practicum when you've got all of your core and elective courses. And then you really want to put that capstone on. Currently, let me just think here. Okay, nobody in the room is doing their level 2 practicum, teaching practicum, but we currently have 2 people in the chute doing that. We have a couple who have recently finished it up, and you'll see some clips today of what all of this looks like. Okay. But all of this revolves around the philosophical sort of observation of mine, that there's a difference between knowing and doing. So knowing it, we know, and yet then we come to do it and it's pretty rough. Just feeling like we really have a handle on that. And so what I'd like to do is share with you, starting with the coaching practicum. Let's look at that. Okay. This is the coaching practicum. It's what I call the hamburger. And the hamburger is designed to, it's this many moving parts kind of idea, okay? There's a Speak Confidently course that is a course for advanced English learners, many of whom will be themselves non-native English speaking teachers who choose to take the course, okay? So it's really available for them, for any advanced learner who wants to engage in a color vowel course. And we advertise for this in Pure English Practice. So you've seen a couple times, we'll give links, that kind of thing, okay? We also advertise to our own level 1 teachers who are non-native English speakers who come to us and say, I feel just not very sure about myself and I'd like to work on my pronunciation. And we say, hey, we have a course for this. So that's what Speak Confidently is, okay? There's one instructor for that course, and it was me for a while, and these days it's Jennifer. So Jennifer's taking a turn in the hot seat where, she designs the lessons and everybody gets to be participant observer, watch her teach a lesson. that always is different than the plan and always is imperfect. That's the nature of teaching. We know that. So we want to model, it's okay to be watched. It's okay to be observed. It is okay not to have the perfect lesson. And yet we get to see many wonderful things happen in that lesson. Okay. And you can imagine, if you know Jennifer, it's methodical and it's tight. So it's a lot of fun that way too. Okay. When it's me, it's wild and loose, and I try to rein it in, but that's a different kind of course. I may teach it again, I don't know, in 2024 when she gives it back to me. But for now, she's the instructor. Speak Confidently itself is happening with typically 12. Lately, I've reduced it to 9 students, but sometimes it's multiples of 3 that we make the limit, okay? It's a 5-week course. So I've created this kind of faux, here are the 3 students, those little guys right there, that are each week assigned to a coach, okay? When we have 3 coaches, we cap it at 9. When we have 4 coaches, we cap it at 12, okay? So this would be you, okay? You're a coach. And then the coach is supported by 1 or 2 mentors. And I'm typically a mentor, and Shirley is typically a mentor. And sometimes we have some other folks too, like Lynn Swanda and others, okay? So in other words, you're surrounded by something to take in, and somebody who's providing you with support for your coaching sessions. Now, what happens with this structure? This is, I can make this a little prettier someday, but it works for now. There are 5 main components. There's a 2-week, 1-week orientation, 1-week training workshop. So the first 2 weeks of your 8-week experience are to be oriented and to receive training in how to listen to a learner and decide, if I'm going to give this learner some feedback on a task that is no more than about 3 minutes itself, what is it I'm going to say to them? What will I focus on? How will I prioritize what I tell them? Will I give them all the feedback? Will I correct everything? If I don't correct everything, how do I choose what to provide feedback on? And if I provide feedback, shouldn't I also provide them with a way to practice the model? And if I do that, then how will I do that? Is it a chant? Am I going to use some yoga to orient them to where the vowel sound is? How to adjust to maybe sound more on target? Am I going to make a speech to spelling connection that you might find in spelling exploration? In other words, you're going to pull from everything you learned and apply your sound awareness to decide what's the biggest fish to fry in this particular setting. Okay, so that's what's going to be happening in those 5 weeks after we've provided you with some guidance and some practice with real samples. You gain some experience leading pronunciation activities during the workshop. I'll show you what that looks like. You'll debrief activities and findings after class each week. So typically, after class, we meet up for another half hour after the students have left the room. And first we pile love on whoever has been the teacher, in this case, Jennifer. What did we enjoy about the lesson? What questions did we have about the lesson? I typically ask a few other questions for the coaches to reflect on. Okay. Here's that prioritized feedback piece I just mentioned. Okay. Because the students have homework. You access mentoring support during the week, and we have an asynchronous group chat, and I'm going to add here and a live meeting. We've just recently added the live meeting component during the week, so that when you say, here's what I heard of this student's speech, here's what I want to focus on, and we're going to do that live moving forward. Carrie's the only person who's going to nod and say, yes, we know that's a good idea. But it's more efficient than what we were doing, which was like an asynchronous back and forth. Here are my priorities. Oh, I kind of disagree, that kind of thing. Because we're running an actual course while we're doing all this, and it moves along at a clip, 1 meeting a week, and those students are waiting for feedback. Okay. After all of that, wild stuff of 5 weeks of giving feedback to different students happens, you then attend a 1-week debrief session. And I mean, it's not 1 week long. It's a 1.5 hour debriefing session, but it's the 8th week, right? 2 weeks 5 weeks, that makes 7, and 1 more week makes 8 total. Questions, clarifications? Okay, so what does coaching look like? This is just a brief clip I thought I'd share from the recent course here. And you'll see, first of all, there's Jennifer, myself, we've got several coaches. Here's Alicia Wagstaff, here's Carrie, here's Joan. We had 3 coaches, and everybody else is a participant in the course. Those are students. Okay, one of them is also themselves a teacher, right? But again, they're all advanced English speakers who want to work on their own pronunciation. They opted in. So let's take a listen. And I have this already queued. Jennifer's going to be finishing the warm up right here. If you remember, we do Anna, we do various warm ups with the chart, like you've seen a little bit in Pure English Practice. So Jennifer's finishing up with a warm up, and then a student asks a question, and you kind of get a sense of where it goes from there.
Orange door or. Rose boat O. Rose boat O. Wooden hook wooden hook blue moon ooh. Blue moon ooh. A cup.
I'm going to move it forward.
I have a question.
Yes, Natalia.
Just one moment, I'll put the view so I can look straight at everyone. So I have a major question actually about rose boat.
Okay.
As I was practicing this week, just one moment. As I was practicing this week, I had a huge confusion about this rose boat and words like hold, because it goes like rose boat, but it's not rose boat for me. I cannot hear a oo sound there at all. It goes for me, hold is o. And that was like, I would like really to hear the train of thinking behind this sound, or maybe I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, when you just asked me about that, I heard 2 different sounds. You said, I don't hear, you said hold, and it was a beautiful rose boat sound for me. And then you said, I don't hear ooh, which is actually blue moon ooh.
Oh,
So
no, the sound oh consists of 2 sounds for me. It's like oh, ooh,
and what?
oh.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
because we're moving up here.
I'm going to continue
Oh.
just so you kind of get a sense.
But we could, in the sense.
So I do
Put
some
me in a sentence.
explanation.
For example, put it on hold. My great little lead.
Okay, so we have a little question, we have some answers, and then in comes Alicia, who is that week's coach to lead an activity. At this point, that's the other piece you get, as part of this coaching practicum, is an opportunity to lead an online group through an activity, a chant, a warm up, or in this case, she was using the organizer and the launch pad. Okay. And so we'll just a couple, maybe about 30 more seconds, and then we'll kind of take questions and move along. But here we go.
Lead in there. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can everybody see the chart on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. So we've learned over the last few weeks using Blue Canoe and through the course that each color in the color vowel chart represents a vowel sound in North American English, right? So we have these 16 vowel sounds that we use. But as Jennifer said, there's an interesting relationship between spelling vowel letters and vowel sounds. So in English, one vowel sound is represented by different vowel letters. What are the vowel letters? Can anyone tell me? What are the vowel letters in English? We have 5, sometimes 6.
Okay. So in this case, it was a presentation, but it often is focused on doing and practice. And I won't play more of this right now, but we do a variety of activities that range from explanation to a lot of doing. And in some cases we have an ongoing project. In this case, it was readers theater. So the students were working on a poem that they were presenting throughout. So this is the live session of the coaching practicum that goes with speak confidently. Does that make sense to everybody, the way this hamburger is working? Any questions there? Not so much. Okay. From there, on the weekend or through the week, let's say this is on a Tuesday, each student is assigned a task or 2 tasks, and they usually have that posted within a few days. We have them on a timeline and they know it. And then the coach will go in and listen to their post and give feedback. Now, I'll go ahead and I'm going to stop share so you can listen to a student. I want you to put yourself in the position that you're going to decide what to give feedback on in what you're about to hear, okay? I'm going to show you briefly. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and play this. So you're going to listen. This is a student describing her favorite poem or favorite song, and that was the assignment, was either one. So take a listen, and we won't have a huge discussion about exactly what should be prioritized, but you'll get to see the coach's video afterward. So just start thinking. You might want to take a little note or just take note of what you hear. Here we go.
I enjoy reading poetry because it describes situations, feelings, ideas, and things with the strong words and rhythm. And I love listening to music also because it changed my mood. And I chose 2 songs. The first is In a Day and In a Night, في يوم في ليلة, in my language. And this has been sung by Algerian singer Warda Al-Jazairiya, and she's one of the most famous singer in Arab world. And this song is very popular and famous.
Okay, that's 1 minute of the student's post, right? You're already starting to kind of take note of a couple of things maybe. But then you think, well, gosh, I mean, do I notice everything? How do I decide what to give feedback on? So we practice that together, and you can guess, where do you think the priorities lie? And this is now open, quick discussion here. Where are the priorities for comprehensibility? What are the biggest fish?
Vowels. Vowel sounds out.
Yeah, vowel sounds maybe. Yeah. In fact, could you hear her? She's actually opening. I'm not showing the video because she didn't give permission for video to show, but I can play her audio.
Yeah.
But you can hear her hand, can't you? Did you hear her hand? Every word you could understand was where she opened her hand. I'll just say that. Yeah, I wish, I'd love to show it to you, but every word you understood is the one where she opened her hand. So that, Lorian, is not just vowel, but what else?
And the stress.
There you go. Stress. Okay. And whenever you didn't understand her was where she didn't use the hand.
Okay. Was that the rhythm? She said like rhythm or rhythmicum, right? I couldn't hear that word. I didn't know if that was the word. I just guessed by context. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that would be precisely where you'd go back and say, what is it about that made that hard to understand? So we prioritize by, what was the part that slipped away? And then we say, is it the stress? Is it the vowel? Is it the rhythm more than the stress? On top of that, is it intonation? Is it something else? Is it consonants? Right. So we have ways, and we're going to be doing quite a bit of practice in those first 2 weeks to bring together all of these questions as we listen to real samples of past students. Okay. So then you may be wondering, well, what might a coach say? And when the task itself only lasts 3 minutes, we don't want to be giving more time on feedback than the actual task, right? I think that sounds a bit absurd. It's like traveling, 8 hours to visit somebody for 1 hour. It just doesn't do it. And so what I'd like to do is play for you that. And so this is her coach that week. This is Alicia. Okay. And you can get a sense she gave a 3-minute bit of feedback. We'll listen to some of it. But you'll sort of see how Alicia goes about it. And she's bringing together everything she knows, right? What she already brought to the table, plus her core workshops, plus Color Vowel Basics. And you'll see how she weaves this together.
Hi, Ida. Here's my feedback for your task number 8. First of all, I really loved learning about your favorite songs and why you really like them. They both sounded like very beautiful songs. And I was very surprised to hear that you did get snow in Palestine. I also can imagine that was a big celebration for everybody, considering the region of the world that you're in. So thank you for sharing that. I thought you did a really great job describing your songs using a lot of rich vocabulary. And so I just want to work on a little bit of linking and rhythm in your speech. And I want to use one line in particular. And before we do that, I want to talk about that word rhythm. So when I heard you say this word, I believe you were saying it as white tie, rhythm. So this is actually a silver pin word. So let's start there, just practicing that 4 times. Silver pin rhythm. Again, silver pin rhythm. Silver pin rhythm. One more time, silver pin rhythm. Great. And then the sentence that really stuck out to me that I would like to practice to help you speak about that second song especially is, the first time I saw snow, I was 16 years old. So here we have a few focus words. First, snow, 16, old. All right. So let's just practice that sentence a few times, trying to get that stress and trying to link together our words. Here we go. The first time I saw snow. The first time I saw snow. The first time I saw snow. The first time I saw snow, I was 16 years old. I was 16 years old. I was 6.
Interesting. Hold on. Can you hear me? No, just a minute, just a minute. Wait, I've got it. Hold on here. Come on, come on. Can you hear me? No. Yes. Okay. Somebody's AirPods in the house are taking over my computer. So we're going to stop right there. I'm just going to take my wins as I have them. So what did you like? Was that pretty neat so far? You know, we got to, yeah. Any thoughts on this? What struck you?
Alicia is great. She's so focused. She's so precise. Her kinesthetic movements are in pace with what she's saying.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what she's targeting and how to target it.
Yeah. What else? Specific things?
I thought when I first joined the webinar today, I sort of thought, holy moly, this is going to be really tough. But seeing what Alicia's just done, I thought, no, hang on a minute, we've done this, we've covered this, we can do this. So she's given me some confidence to have a crack at it. So that's really good.
Yeah, the lots of moving parts can be the intimidating part, but I really wanted to show you videos show it's just very real. It's simple, actually, right? We should be able to listen to somebody, whether it's 3 minutes or 3 hours, and just give them like 1 or 2 really powerful pointers with some practice.
Yeah.
Right? Skip?
Just recognizing, she just recognized the, she took a piece and recognized that the rhythm was all wrong and went into rhythm chant. So that was really cool. Mm-hmm. So it could be very simple like that. You just find it and say, that's what was difficult about that was this. And she showed an example of it and did it. a quick little chant of a couple times. All you need to do is do 2 or 3 times and you get something in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, we were all able to follow it. It was followable.
Yeah.
Sticky, all those things we learned in rhythm and chants, right?
Yeah.
Good, good. So that's the result of a back and forth that went on where we use Canvas for this course, and there are actually 2 courses running at the same time, the coaching practicum and the actual Speak Confidently course. So the coach is going over here, watching the student, going back over to the coaching. And then we were doing kind of a dress rehearsal or a dry run of feedback, but that'll be a little live meeting that we schedule. And you say, this is what I heard, this is what I'm thinking of prioritizing. And, we listen to it together, and it's a done deal. And then you go off and make your recorded video for the student. Okay. So that's kind of what we're aiming for, is just like Lisa said, we take what we've already done and practiced together and we do it with a student. And we try to deliver that in a clear, calm, focused way, like Aviva was saying. And we use the gestures and we make it sticky. So it's just like a really gentle juggling act. We'll just keep it focused and calm, and we don't have to address everything. We just need to do something useful. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else there?
Just a quick thought, Karen. Even though I know it is time consuming, taking away that where we actually did rehearsal videos before we posted for students, I think that's why we looked better. Like having that extra practice, I think it did really help. So I don't know, maybe once in a while doing a sample video before posting might be helpful.
Yeah, we might do that. Yeah, and we know that dress rehearsals are good, so recording is good, and we might just do a little hybrid of that. We do keep iterating. We do our, we're sure that we communicate it well to the coaches with that particular iteration, but it keeps getting better and better. Okay, great. So that was the coaching practicum. I would like to spend a couple minutes on the teaching practicum. As I mentioned before, the teaching practicum is the capstone to level 2. So now imagine you've taken your core courses and you've taken the elective courses that are required, the number, right? And you're now ready. And you know that you're choosing a set of practicum dates that correspond with the time when you're actually teaching. You do need to be teaching somebody in order to do the teaching practicum. If you don't have anybody to teach, we can find some creative solutions, but it's ideal if you can do it with the target population you always work with. In some cases, like I'm thinking of folks like Paula and Melissa, there may be some trickinesses, but it's doable, which is we have media releases and get parent signatures that we're doing this for training purposes. I'd like to have some video. So we just do that with a lot of lead notice, and we work with you in your school. Okay. If you work privately, it's a lot easier, of course, especially if you work with adults, but even with children, it's just a matter of communicating that, this is not for publication. It won't be out there on the airwaves. It is for internal and training purposes, like this one. Okay. With that, here's just a brief overview of what the training practicum looks like in terms of activities. Okay. You'll work with your practicum advisor, usually Jennifer, to plan, write, and revise a lesson plan in which you showcase learning strategies, teaching techniques, and corrective feedback that exemplify the color vowel approach. You'll teach and record your lesson in a way that highlights teacher instruction and learner participation. So it's that, it's done really nicely in Zoom, actually. We haven't yet done a teaching practicum with a face-to-face classroom, but we're looking forward to that challenge and figuring out what that's like, right? And then you'll complete a structured reflection. We have a form and a rubric for that. That is an analysis of your lesson. And you receive, in a session that we schedule with you, constructive feedback from your review committee. And that's usually me and Jennifer and Shirley. But it's a little different every time. Okay. With that, we have our standards. It's a rigorous course. It's based on specific performance standards. We do provide you with a rubric. it's in the interest of saying, if you're level 2 certified, we know that you are an exemplar of what we have in mind, of what this looks like as an integrated thing, not something you do or just teaching the chart, but rather that you really are comfortable integrating it into your instruction. So that's a bit of that idea of being rigorous. Participating in the level 2 teaching practicum does not guarantee a level 2 certificate. So that's the big difference between, say, level 1 and level 2, which is level 1 is if you do the tasks, you will get your level 1 certificate. Level 2 core workshops, there may be some corrective feedback, you may need to repost, but you're going to get those level 2 certificates for those workshops. But for this level 2 overall certificate completion, that is not guaranteed, and it does have to do with really meeting those standards. Okay. Candidates determined to be in need of a little more time, we work with you so that you are able to go off and make those changes or keep working on something, get more comfortable with a particular strategy, maybe redo a lesson plan, or maybe start from scratch and just say, I'm going to do this next semester. So we're working closely with you if that's the case. Okay. We haven't been in that situation, but we would just want to be sure that if we have something you're going to pass, it also has to be failable. And anybody who's done any kind of assessment can appreciate the need for that, so that when you pass, it means something. We don't have a hamburger for this one, but we just have a little graphic. You do have a mentor who works with you. Again, that's usually Jennifer for this. There's the lesson plan. Some people have not done a lot of lesson planning, so then we support that. If you've done a lot of lesson planning, this part is pretty easy. There's the teaching video component with your students in there. There's then your analysis of that video where you reflect, and then you send that off and say, here is my entire video and my analysis, and we finally meet. Okay. I'll give you just a brief glimpse. Now, Yuki, if you know now from other sessions like the Japanese session, recently went through the teaching practicum. This is an example of her lesson plan that was extremely detailed, and some are not as detailed, but she scripted out a lot of her lesson, partly because she was teaching in both English and Japanese, and she wanted us to know, okay? And then she took that lesson and she created time markers. That's part of her analysis that works with the rubric we provided her. So for example, the use of the color vowel approach here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more visible for you. Is this a better view?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you get the sense here, maybe one of the rubric items is overall demonstrated competence in the use of the color vowel methodology. Made consistent and effective visual references to the color vowel chart by using tracing and other yoga strategies. If we kind of dive down, minimize teacher talk time by limiting instructional language and using modeling and gesture to guide the learners instead. Okay. Learners' use of the color vowel approach, that they used their hand, they didn't just watch the teacher. That the learner asked questions and that it showed that they're very aligned. They know how to use the chart to ask questions and answer questions. So all of these are the rubric items that are here, the criteria. Okay, that just kind of gives you a quick schematic idea of what that looks like. Okay, I thought I would finish up because we're coming to questions and answers in a moment, but since we've been looking at now and that lesson plan, I thought you might want to just see what that lesson looks like, because it's super fun to see somebody's lesson. So this is a clip of her teaching segment. And you're going to hear it in Japanese and in English. And so what I'll do is I'll probably break out so you can see the whole frame in a second here. But we're aiming for high quality audio video, responsive teaching, not just teaching but teaching, listening, responding, changing the lesson plan, because that's what we do. Engaged learner participation, examples of essential color vowel techniques, such as these that we've already talked about some. Okay. This is the middle of a lesson. She's been working on, let me see if it starts here, but I think we're going to get into the word sofa, and then she's working on another word with her learner here. There we go. Let's see. We cannot hear her again. I'm going to have an audio problem. Can you hear me right now? I wonder what that's about. Just going to think for a minute. Okay, I'm going to ditch that. I have to ditch it because I can't figure out quickly what that problem is. So we'll go ahead and leave that the way it is, except to say that it was a lovely little lesson. And the learner, she scaffolded it in such a way that she didn't answer the student's question in advance, you know. She'd say, what color is this? And then she'd give him some choices, and they were visual, so that she talked less than necessary, and I mean less than she might otherwise, and so forth. So he played just as big a role in the lesson as she did, and it was quite lovely. So I apologize for that, the lack of that clip, but I think it's best. And I'd like to move into questions about what we've done tonight. I'm going to pull up some dates for you, so that might be a top of mind question, right? Questions about the coaching practicum. I think that might be top of mind for most of you, because I don't think anyone here has done it except Carrie. No, Aviva, you've done the coaching practicum. I know.
But it was a different iteration.
That's right, different iteration. Let me speak to that for a moment. We have an auditing option on the coaching practicum.
I did that.
And yeah, and so yeah, Dorley did that.
The auditing, yeah.
And Carrie has done that as well. Can you speak, Dorley and Carrie, to the benefits of auditing for folks?
Well, it gives you a clearer idea, and it's a good warm-up. I was at a time too busy with other things that I couldn't really fully concentrate and put in the time, but gave you a good sense of what it's like. So it was useful in that regard. I appreciated that experience of being part of the group at that time.
Carrie, any other thoughts there?
Yeah, and I'll just add in, I really appreciated getting a chance to see how other people would take a student's assignment and then prioritize, you know, maybe one thing, maybe, or one or two things to focus on, and how they would almost immediately then give them a related practice activity. So yeah, it was a great learning experience to audit it.
And one other thing, Carrie, that Carrie mentioned in the past was you have to know yourself. And if you are someone who gets, you know, if you like to know in advance what something's like, which you might think to yourself, well, doesn't everybody like to know in advance what something's like? But some of us are more comfortable with the ambiguous than others. So if you have a low tolerance for ambiguity, if you like to plan, then auditing is a good idea for you. If that's not as much of an issue for you, you don't mind, you know, that idea of diving into something right away, then you can go straight into the coaching practicum when you've met the requirements. Okay. But you know, we know that auditing can always just be fun. There are no responsibilities. You know, you're not in the spotlight. You can just go and stay for all the good parts, the debriefings and so forth. On our calendar, if you come down, you'll see that our next practicum is coming up in August. Okay, and we have a couple, we still have, I think we have 3 spots open for that. And that'll be on Tuesday mornings from 11 to 1 Eastern. Okay. The next one after that, I don't think I have posted. Yes, I do. October 19th is the one after that. And that'll be on Wednesdays in the afternoon. Okay. And I think that's all we have for the year. So those are the 2. And those are both daytimes. Interesting. 11 to 1 Eastern and 1 to 2:30 Eastern. I'm thinking about my public school teachers here and how that would just not be a realistic time of day. So Melissa, anyone else? Paula, do you agree? Like that's just not feasible, right?
No, yeah, it's
Yes, we have no bananas. No,
Oh, and also for Lorianne is teaching during that time.
Okay, great. I'm going to make just a note. You may see us adding an evening section of the coaching practicum evening session. It's so funny. We're so careful about the way we plan things, and then yeah, so we may add something there. Okay. As far as the teaching practicum goes, it's simply not posted here, but it will be soon. If you want to see all of the future, you can always come to the interactive calendar and select for Practica. So we can see, here's that September teaching practicum. Okay, that starts, it's from 8. See, hold on a minute. Look at this. Look at this. Coaching practicum 8 to 9:30. Karen, I need to go back and check a couple things, but I'm going to trust that Jennifer's the correct one. So let's be happy about that. I'm just going to make a note to self, August 2nd, 8 to 9:30. Yeah, I think I need to go change that over in the listing. Okay, so that's the good news. Then in September, we've got teaching practicum for those. It's kind of hard to scan this, but you see how it's the same course here, here, here. Okay, so those are the teaching practicum. It's all one course and it's just showing all of the meetings. If you're not sure, you can always just come into that setting, tap on it, and then you'll see all of the full dates shown at the top and down below. Okay, but that gives you an idea of the rhythm there. The other coaching practicum in October is in the afternoon. You can see that 1 to 3. And that covers it. So that's good news that I made a mistake down here. Okay.
Karen, may I ask something?
Sure.
When you showed the structure of what the expectation is for the teaching, it appeared to be one session, one lesson, but it actually is a series of meetings. It's kind of like a course that you meet several times. It's not just meeting once, doing this one thing, turn that in, be done. So it's actually, so that was unclear. Can you get into that a little more in detail?
Sure, absolutely. And so in the teaching practicum, it starts with, there's a schedule for that. And actually the best place to see that schedule is in the Eventbrite listing, which I'll grab for you. But you start off by identifying, first of all, getting to know the rubric, knowing what the objectives are, then planning the lesson, then meeting to go over the lesson, revising if needed, based on Jennifer's suggestions. Not that she's going to say, this is a bad thing to do or this is a good thing to do, but rather maybe we can get more student interaction by doing this, for example. Then after those first 4 weeks of meeting regularly, maybe it's 3 or 4, then it's by appointment for the remaining 4 weeks, depending on that sweet spot. When do you get to actually teach that lesson? And we all know things happen, maybe class gets canceled or somebody was sick. So we then tailor it to your schedule and when those milestones get hit. Okay. You then submit your analysis with your time markings. We then have a couple weeks to go over that. We then meet with you. So by then you've got your eight weeks or so in there, and there's quite a bit of wiggle room in there. Okay, but it's typically an 8-week journey. Okay, I hope that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Nothing else? Okay. A couple things coming up. We do have a session this week, Friday, on tips that teachers have for working with learners whose first language is Arabic, or any of the Semitic languages, I suppose. But I know, Aviva, you've worked a lot with Arabic speaking students, haven't you? Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you. You'll have to unmute.
Sorry, both Lorianne and I have worked a lot with the Arabic students, both mainly from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and occasionally a couple from Jordan and Syria. And they are characters. And I think that they're characters because they come from an oral tradition. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting to see how coming from an oral tradition, coming from a very wordy tradition, translates from the Arabic Semitic language into English.
So, and now I'll ask just in front of folks, Aviva, you know that you're on the slate for Friday. we need to chat.
Yes,
maybe you and Lorian would like to come in together. But it's just a chance to, again, no, it's not a high pressure thing. And I know Dr. Barr is going to be speaking briefly on what she can add to the equation on the phonology of Arabic. And most importantly, there's always that question of the writing systems and how they influence pronunciation. So we'll chat a little bit later. Okay. So that's coming up. July is typically a pretty quiet month. We are planning to run one workshop in July on literacy. This is with Dr. Barr. You'll see some information about that coming up. Pretty fascinating topic, and one that she recently presented on at a conference. So she'll be talking a lot about the brain and literacy and phonological awareness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fun stuff. I did want to show you what the teaching practicum looks like, if just to kind of follow up with Dorley. So I'm just pulling that up for you. And well, maybe again, and view details. There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think I took out the timeline actually. So this is going to have a lot of it's actually the very same information I showed you. We took out the timeline partly because it really is tailored to you, but the first 4 weeks of the meetings are regular and with your group. Okay, great. A question or comment from, let me just see here. Okay, yeah. So if you have a question, I just received a private question about Blue Canoe, which I'm happy to take. But any other questions about the practicum? You get a sense of what we're aiming to do with that and the journey that we have in mind. Okay, great. Well, thank you. I wish the finishing up teachers, I wish you all of the energy that you have left, that it can just focus and let you back out of the room in a graceful way, and that you get to do something really good for yourself. Okay. And we'll be talking to you soon. Everyone else, enjoy a bit of summer, please. Yeah. And do head over if you would like to sign up for the upcoming. I'll change that timing right now so that you'll see that it's that 8 to 9:30 spot. It's in the August 2nd course. Okay. And if you have any questions, just email me at karen@colorval.com and go ahead and copy Jennifer, or put Jennifer in the 2 category as well. Okay. Because she's not able to make it tonight, but she'll be listening in and happy to answer questions. Okay. All right. I'm happy to stay behind afterward. I'll stop recording and say goodbye, but if you have a leftover questions, stick around. Thank you.